emulated them in every action. He had many skills. He was almost as good at tracking as Snorri, and he could handle a sword with the best of them. Hakon and Knut had taken to aiding Snorri with his training. They were my oldest friends and the ones I trusted the most. This would be his last winter in my home. Come the spring, he would join the warriors in the warrior hall. We found Lang and his family, or rather we found the remains of Lang and his family. We had saved them some years earlier from a wolf attack. We had thought that we had destroyed the nest of wolves, but we were wrong. It was a sign from the gods. The wolves had returned. They had descended again to feast on flesh. They had somehow gained entrance to the farm, and the fur and pieces of bone told their own story. Lang and his son had defended themselves and their family, but they had perished nonetheless. The tracks of the pack led east towards the wide water that was Windersmere. We found no living person between our home and Windersmere. There were dead, frozen corpses now, and there were carcasses or parts of carcasses showing the trail of the wolves. When we reached there, Tostig Red Hair was so cold that he was actually blue. Windar refused to let us leave until we had eaten and warmed through. He told me tales of those around the mere dying, some frozen to death and others devoured by wolves. When we had warmed through a day later and tried to leave, we were trapped in his hall by a snow flurry for a further 2 days. When the storm abated, we left and headed home. We hurried to avoid the icy wind and sleet which chilled us to the bone despite the layers we all wore. I had no idea if we would survive in our newly conquered home. Had we made the right decision when we had left our island in the west? I doubted it. There the winters were gentle and there were no wolves. The gods were playing with me and the Norns were spinning their webs. I could not even begin to envisage the plans they had for me. We huddled in our turf-roofed hall by the water of Cunningasthun, and we heard the wolves howl in the hills. Death now stalked our land. We were no longer the hunter, we were the hunted. The land and the wolves were conspiring against us. We had fought our enemies, and now we had to fight against nature herself. Chapter 1. It was a sombre spring, and it proved to be a late spring. Normally it would be a joyous time, for the new growth and new births made everyone feel alive. The only animals which had survived were the few that we had kept within our walls, and they were perilously small in number. Although the snow had gone, the ground was still hard. No crops could be sown. This would be a late, hard spring. I will take my Drekker and we will raid. I will feed those for whom I am responsible. My wife, Erica, was a wise woman. The people are hungry, but they fear the wolves more. If we are hungry, then they will be too. The wolves are the greater danger. We can live on the food we still have. It made sense. We thought that we had destroyed the pack in the hills above Langsdale. They had returned. I will take my Ulfaenar and we will hunt them. My oath-sworn were all as eager as I was to do something. We were in our prime, and it did not sit well to rest, eat, and drink, while outside our walls women and children were dying of starvation, disease, and now wolves. It was not our way. We could not fight nature, but we could fight the wolves. Hakon rubbed his eye socket. It was a habit he had, and it showed he was concerned. We need to know where the wolves are. Vindar said that many of his people to the east of the Mere suffered. We should first go to Langsdale and see if they are there, and if be not, we can track them and hunt them elsewhere. I agree with your wife, Dragonheart. If we are hungry, then the wolves